And it's going to be I Press Forward, okay? The title of tonight's message, taken from Philippians 3 and 14. And Paul says, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which Elohim, God, has called me heavenward in Yeshua. This past Sabbath was called Shabbat Nachamu. And I know that used to be one of Ishka's and my favorite brachas, blessing songs, nivuns. And if you have the opportunity, look it up by Sister Korlbach, or even by a couple of other people sing it. They do a phenomenal job. It's taken out of Isaiah 40, verse 1 through, I believe, 6. So today, this Sabbath, and I know I said earlier, but I have to repeat this because there's so many times that have gotten it, whether they're on the internet or maybe they're here. But your time of your errors, of your iniquities, of your offenses, of your errors, all that is behind you, all that ended, it's over. God is calling to embrace you in His comfort and His love, as it's stated in Isaiah 40, that you and I might walk boldly. But let me go ahead and get into Scripture, because I don't want for you to just take my word for it. Yeshua says it this way in John 10, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep and am known by my own. As my Father knows me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. In Isaiah 40, verse 26, lift up your eyes on high and see who it is who has created all things, who brings out their host by number. He calls them all by name, by the greatness of His might and by the strength of His power. Not one is missing. He brought us outside and He encourages us every evening to look at the stars. Look at the sky. If any of you saw the orange moon last night, look who it is that does that or causes that to be. It is our God and our Creator, the same one who has said, look, I have called you for bigger things and greater things, that you should walk in truth and in love, not in offense and error, but that you should continue to progress and keep moving forward. One of the beautiful messages of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is that yes, we make our list of people we have offended or may have offended us, and we go through the list one by one, calling or personally meeting with these people. The beauty of it is if they don't receive your heartfelt, sincere attempt at reconciliation, attempt at righting a grievance, that's not your issue. You are called to continue to move forward and make progress, not to stay in a place of hurt, a place of grief. How can you produce sweet? Tell them I'll be right there. How can you produce good fruit if you're filled with grief? It will only be bitter fruit. You know, and I take a look at the time and the journey that Isa and I have had from two people at Havdala to this. Having a couple of different facilities in a couple of different places, and it's all by the grace of God. It's nothing that we like, da-da-da. No. It's because we refuse to stay in those places of hurt with people and instead continue to move on. And you know what? We love them. We love each and every one of the people, for as unique and special as each one of them are. But brother, if we've already said our apologies, if we've already tried to reach out for each other, and you want to stay there in that place, I cannot stay there with you. If I'm offered a way out of the ditch, and you want to stay in the ditch, the Torah says move on. It says you offer, you help them get out of the ditch. They don't want to help. You can't stay there with them. We have our own ditches to get out of. Amen?
Amen.
There's always that one guy. In the Tanya, there's a metaphor that our world is light, emitted by the Creator, an expression of His omnipotence, the revelation of His majesty. As light, the created reality has no substance. Who can grasp a hold of light in their hand and hold it there? Who? Wait, hold on, I got something. No one can grab a hold of light, but the beauty of our being created is that we're actually created to emit the light of God in a dark world. We're created just as Messiah Yeshua reflected the light and the glory of our Father in heaven. You and I, He said, will do greater things because we will take that same light and that same truth to other ages and other generations, in other places, in other walks of life. So be content to take the truth, that light. Be content to admit the light of God without blemish, without shade, without any curtains that you're trying to hold up of offense, of shame. But continue rather to shine the light, just as the moon reflects the light of the sun. You and I are called to reflect the light of our God and our Creator through Messiah Yeshua. He is the scope by which we measure ourselves. I cannot measure myself according to Sister Nancy's walk. I cannot measure myself according to Brother Michael's walk. I have to measure myself according to Messiah, who walked the perfect, unblemished fulfillment of the Torah. He is my guide and my measuring stick. And the rabbis who have mentored me, they're just that, my mentors. But Yeshua is my measurement. Even Peter, as awesome as I think he is, to go from where he was to where he ended up in his faith, in his controlling his anger. Even Peter is a mentor. He's not the Messiah. So I have to look at his life and learn the lessons thereof. But my footsteps have to be after Messiah Yeshua and nobody else. Foot for foot, step by step. As my life, as I follow the footsteps of the Messiah, my life begins to take order, to take shape. It might not be the order that others around think it should be. And that's okay. Because the Lord has called us all to be different instruments in the orchestra. All co-laborers in his field. But that means we have to co-labor. Amen?
Amen.
In Luke chapter 3. And he went into all the country around the Jordan and around the Jordan, preaching of Havdala, immersion in the water, of repentance, teshuvah, returning to God, for the forgiveness of sins. And he quotes the prophet Isaiah, a voice of one calling out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight the path for him. Every valley shall be filled, every mountain and hill made low. The crooked road shall become straight, and the smooth way and the rough ways made smooth. Let's pause there for a moment. Every valley that we have in our lives, every crooked road that we may have in our lives, every mountain will all be made straight the more that we walk with God. It is you being willing to take the footsteps with Messiah that causes that to happen. It is no doctrinal thing. It is no any other kind of thing. It is simply taking footsteps with Messiah in the same manner that Messiah took them. And in that manner, those crooked roads in our lives will be made straight. Those hills lowered, those valleys filled in. Not by you, by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, they will be filled. And all people will see God's salvation. Think about it. If you're walking with God, they will see God's blessing upon you. Earlier today, Asa and I were eating at a particular place, and there happened to be some secular relatives, I'll say it that way, in that particular eating place. And they saw us in our, I guess, religious, how we look. And they got upset and left. And it's nothing that we did, it's nothing that was said. But some people are convicted because they're not doing what you're doing. And that has nothing to do with you. The best that you can offer is to be loving towards them, right? And show them you're not what they think. You're loving, you're caring. You actually are concerned for them and their well-being. Even though you may not know them at all. And if that brother and sister and the family, they happen to watch this someday, you are loved. Not just by us, but by Elohim. And I hope to have coffee with you. It goes on to say, John said this over and over again to the crowds coming out to be immersed by him. And he warned them in a shout, brood of vipers, you should flee from the coming wrath. You should either flee from the coming wrath or produce fruit in keeping with repentance, keeping with teshuvah, right? Keep returning to God every day, every moment, right? Every time you're frustrated, uncertain, anxious, return to God and choose to see God in other people. They might not be there yet, and that's their journey, that's their struggle. You cannot stay in the ditch with them, but you can offer them a handout every time they need it. you can offer to get in the ditch and help them get themselves out. But then we must keep moving forward, for we have our own journey and our own fruit to produce. For Yeshua says, every branch that does not produce fruit will be cut off and cast away. So there is an expectation of our Messiah. Not only in our daily walk and our daily interaction with other people, but in the field that He has entrusted you to co-labor in. We're all on our own journey, but none of us are alone in this journey. We're called to bear each other's burdens. Amen?
Amen.
And finally, in that same passage in Isaiah says, the King has paid double for our sin. More than it actually cost, He has paid for each and every one of our iniquities. Each one of our errors, each time we chose to cheat on God with our golden calf or whatever other thing it is that you cheat on God with. But let us today, this week, as we prepare for the month of Elul, in my opinion, one of the most important months of our calendar. During this month, you can sum up Elul as the Ani Bidoini. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. He is yours, and you are His. Exclusively. Collectively and individually. And isn't that precious? That is coming into the month of Elul, that the sages will say the King is in the field. He is going personally to visit each and every one who proclaims or who says that they are His children, that they are His servants. Are you ready if He knocks at your door? I used to tell this thing all the time in the old Havdala. What will you do when He does knock on the door? We say, hey, hold up a minute, I gotta pick up the laundry. Hold on, I gotta clean the kitchen. Or will you simply let the King in, knowing that He's already seen your mess? And that question I pose to you this week. Are you ready for when the King knocks on your door? And I'll let you all answer that on your own time, in your own way, in your own prayers. So this, as we enter into the month of Elul, this new season, let us set our hearts upon Him and His goodness. And let us try and project that same goodness through our attitudes, our speech, our behavior, our interaction towards each other. Even towards those who we do or don't see every single day. It is in our best interest to reflect His goodness, His love, always. Because we need to always remember that it's you alone who will stand before the throne. And as much as I would love for Ishka to stand at the throne with me, she's really good at arguing cases. I gotta be honest. Every time she's trying to convince me to do something, I seem to get talked into it. But that aside, ultimately I will stand before the throne by myself, on my own. And those two books will be open. And they will ask me those 4 questions. And whether I answer them honestly or not, they already know. So, choose this week to do what is right. Now I'm going to finish with Romans 8, chapter 8, verse 31 through 39. Paul says it this way. If Elohim is for us, who can be against us? Who will separate us from the love of Yeshua? Whether with hardship or distress or persecution, or famine or nakedness or peril or sword. No. No one can actually separate you from the love of Messiah. Nobody can. Each of us individually can forfeit, can walk away from the love of God, but His love never fades and is still there always. No, in all these things, we are more than victors through Him who loves us continuously. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor anything else in all creation can ever separate us from the love of God through Messiah. And so, brothers and sisters, as we enter into Elul, let nothing stop the love of God from flowing through your life and through your speech and through who you are. Choose to love every single day, every moment. And may each and every one of those seeds that you have planted this season, may they bear the fruit. And I pray for each and every one of you and those of you there, that fruit, those seeds that you have planted, that they are good seeds, that it is good fruit. And I pray that if you have planted other kinds of seeds, that your harvest of it be the very miracle. That you learn your lesson quickly, and you decide to stop going around the mountain again and move forward. May God bless you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I love you very much.